Howdy, my name is Joseph McMahon, and today I'll be covering Fink's integrated course design. So to go over a little bit about who Dr. Fink was, is he's a director of instructional and development program at the University of Oklahoma, and he has been recognized across the nation for his expertise in college teaching. Fink noticed that there was a problem with designing and managing instructional events because faculty members were not teaching uh, the correct information, or they were not taking their feedback from their teaching style, and this was causing students to become very disengaged. When first Fix decided that he wanted to identify important situational factors so that he can make three key decisions. What do I want students to learn as a learning goal? How will students know if their goals are accomplished? And lastly, what will the teacher and student need to do in order to achieve these goals? This is all so that they could achieve a lifetime uh, knowledge of the goals that they had from their class. He wanted to emphasize that there's an important need for feedback. For instance, he uses something called a backwards looking assessment, which looks back at a previous test that a student took and evaluates how much information do they still retain from that test, as well as how much information do they lack. This allows the student to make progress and retain more information rather than memorizing and forgetting the information in the long term. Some of the differences between the adding model and his model was A, how much huge feedback meant to him, as opposed to an evaluation factor in the adding model, where they just look at the feedback towards the end of the semester with a survey. Fink wants to make sure that he gets constant feedback throughout the semester to improve his teaching style, as well as encourage students to stay engaged and perform well. He also wanted to ensure that he adapted to the current students, and he would build performance objective based material to keep the students on topic, and this would be engaging and in person, or if it was an online class at home. He noticed that there were some similarities between the adding model and his model, and one was that the analysis done at the beginning of the adding model was to evaluate where students' performance fell. This is also done in the teaching and learning activities that being presented so that he could assess how much knowledge the students have so he can make progress on what they don't have, what knowledge they don't have without covering stuff that they do have. Some assumptions that needed to be made were this takes a lot of time for the Fink's model because you're constantly surveying students and trying to understand where they're struggling and how to better improve them. It uses tests for assessment and doesn't take too kindly to projects just because tests are a better way of instantly knowing where a student's at. And lastly, he looks more at activities that could help students in the long term. This model works well because it improves significant learning outcomes because in the long term, the students will know exactly what they did and how it applies. It also engages them physically and mentally because the students are constantly working together and working problems in class and outside of class. And it gives grades for understanding and struggles that students face, whether it's inside the classroom or outside of the classroom. Therefore, some conclusion to this is that this model is very hard to implement right off the bat because it takes a lot of time and effort, but it does provide better learning outcomes and it allows students to constantly review their work because once they learn this in one class, they can use it and implement it into another class. Thank you.